Welcome everybody to the SLG update on where we're at with the strategic plan. We've got 5 main priorities, and so you got 5 slides. Each of the slides has a few work streams, and I'm going to be emphasizing the safeguarding areas, not so much on domestic abuse and violence in this presentation. So the work streams on the left, just an update on those. The front door, we have made significant progress in the last 6 months. A lot of the agencies had individual problems that needed to be resolved over the last 18 months, and we've got to a point now where we're in a position where we can actually have 3 2-hour development sessions to improve relationships right across the board and develop a multi-agency protocol. So a few tiny little snags need to be de-snagged before then, which I'll talk to you about in the meeting if there's time. Anecdotally, improvements have been seen as strategy meetings partners report that they are much more efficient, they're given a little bit more time, partners know what to do, but we need to do some further evaluations later to check whether this is borne out in evidence. We also committed to promoting early intervention. We have produced a wellbeing tool which is designed to enable a dialogue between a practitioner and a parent about how they think their child is doing in relation to the UN Conventions on the Rights of the Child. It's been proven to be working, reasonably well with practitioners. It's very, very popular and helps with those difficult conversations you sometimes have to have. We also committed to raising the profile of child sexual abuse, and you will all be familiar with the work Jacinta Matharu has done on raising awareness about this in schools. Sorry about that. And also, we're having a training conference for investigators based on learning from one of our rapid reviews. We felt there's a need for investigators, particularly police and social workers, to update themselves on arrangements for medical examinations and the regulations in the Sexual Offences Acts and the various acts. And people are working together on that. Louise Watson and Sheila from the SARC are working together leading on that. So that should really help everybody. We also committed to promoting the new neglect strategy and guidance and the threshold documents, and they're certainly underway. We know it's embedded at the front door already. We also know that this needs sustained awareness raising. So every now and then we're sending out flyers and reminders to everybody that these are there, because we still come across people who don't know about the new threshold document or are basing their discussions based on a threshold document they've seen many years ago. Multi-agency case audit is underway. The model we have is a 1-year program. I know that sounds pretty slow. It's not slow. It's just detailed, rigorous, and strategic. And the new model is going down very well with partners because they have a chance to evaluate their own performance internally with their own teams, and then to come back to the multi-agency group and feed back on how they can improve partnership working. So it's quite radically new, but it's going down extremely well. Sandra Davies is leading on that. She's currently writing a report, and we're going to take it through our subgroups in the next quarter in time for the annual report cycle. Okay, this is our priority around safeguarding vulnerable adults, largely delivered by the Advancing Safeguarding Practice Group for Adults. A few work streams on the left again. We committed to improving and providing a swift response to safeguarding referrals. And you will remember last year we delivered a new triage protocol for the front door in safeguarding adults. And that needed evaluation. An initial evaluation showed positive impact. However, you'll see in a safeguarding adult review that we're working on at the moment, there's more work needs to be done later on around having a multi-agency approach to that, but I can talk to you about that in the meeting. We also committed to improving our response to people who don't meet Section 42, people who take very risky life decisions. A great deal of concern about that. With the multi-agency referral tool has proven to be very successful in the cases where it was used, and police are particularly using it very, very well. So there's gradual positive improvements. It's difficult to evaluate the impact overall, though, from a strategic vantage point, because there's no central point where we actually send in the marks. And if we encourage that, people will think they've made a referral. So it's a bit complicated. So we can only get really subjective evaluations from practitioners who use it, but they are likely to show a positive impact. We also committed to having clear multi-agency arrangements in place for self-neglect. A task and finish group has been set up and the protocol is currently being drafted. It will go out for consultation next quarter and hopefully will be signed off by March, before the end of the financial year. The making safeguarding personal, ensure it's applied. That's a routine part of adult social care reporting. It'll be discussed at the next meeting, and it's usually reported via the annual report. Deliver multi-agency case audit. That one, I'm afraid, the work is very, very slow, painfully slow. It's been very difficult to get raw data around specific cases and get them identified, so the pace is extremely slow. I'm working with Alan Sinclair, and with early January I have a meeting with Mark Gadsby to see what we can do to accelerate the pace, because we did commit to having that delivered by the end of the financial year, and it's been significantly slowed down. The transitions from DOLS to LPS is ongoing and is largely led by Adult Social Care Services and will be developed as an ongoing thing. So, okay, this is the priority on domestic abuse. Keywords only, really. There's two areas dominating this at the moment: the delivery of the new DA duty, and we committed in the strategic plan to delivering a new strategy on domestic abuse. Progress on that is briefings were provided to the new Safer Style Partnership. Funding for the DA Act has been awarded, as well as a successful bid for Safer Streets campaign, all being led by the Community Safety Partnership team. Lee may want to add to this as we go on. And it might be helpful to just make a note here that in the Safeguarding Adult Review that we're currently working on, not the one you're seeing today, there's a significant reference to coercion and control, so we might want to think about that going forward. We did commit to this in the strategic plan. We are providing multi-agency training around coercion control. That's Janine Edwards is working very closely with Rachel Axtell on this, but the numbers being trained, because of capacity, is small compared to the need and the demand. So we need to think about that in terms of awareness raising across the professional and volunteer community. There's huge amounts of communication going on, but there's not a massive amount of capacity to deliver on coercion and control formal training. So that might be worth us thinking about. Right, this is the priority on exploitation. As you know, our holistic approach to exploitation is all age. I'm going to summarize the children's issues here more than anything, really. In the left-hand column is what we committed to in the plan, and we wanted to develop clear multi-agency pathways for children and adults at risk of or experience exploitation. The Youth Justice and Exploitation team in Children First is providing a significant positive impact in this area. They are providing statutory interventions in accordance with level 3 and 4 of the threshold documents, and they are showing really positive signs of impact, which is incredibly helpful. We've agreed a risk tool and management plans for children at level 2, and that's taking shape really, but we're not quite delivering it. It's not quite embedded in early help practice yet. We need to sort of unravel some of the areas with early help around that. So they have team around the family meetings, they have their own tools, etc. But we need a partnership tool, which is needs to be all unraveled and discussed over the next couple of months. We also agreed to have developed clear transitions arrangements for children at risk of CE maturing into adulthood, which is a very challenging area. We have started working on that, and we will be presenting to the next SCEG meeting in, I think, January on the final tool, and it's actually an adaptation of the multi-agency risk tool, which we'll be using for children maturing to adulthood, because very, very few of them will meet the criteria for formal safeguarding adults intervention. Now that protocol, as well as sitting underneath the SLG, it's also sitting underneath a bigger, much bigger piece of work that's being led by Mark Gadsby, and he and I had a conversation quite a few months ago, and he has agreed that that's the right governance. So we'll be reporting not just on to the SLG, but also to the Transitions Board on this. So we aim to sign everything off in March and really get it ongoing, get it working really rather, from the next financial year onwards. Now, the third work stream you can see there, an informed approach C, intel sharing and profiling. I think we've spent quite a bit of time trying to unravel what that means and how it would look in Slough, as well as, you know, having the anxiety about the fact that we're not actually working together effectively at the beginning of the year on this. So the Children First have implemented a weekly tracker meeting, and that weekly tracker meeting, you know, reviews all cases that have come in the front door in the last week or so. And that's taking a great deal of business capacity away from the MACE, and it's freeing the MACE up to look more carefully at what it can do and what the capacity might be and the capability around joint sharing of information, joint promoting of intel sharing, and profiling and disruption, and should lead to increased disruption, you know, so which is also part of our strategy. The meeting will start effectively to run from April onwards. Jonathan Stanley has taken the lead on that, with Fanny as a kind of co-chair. And at the moment, we're working on the development phase. We're devising terms of reference. We're having a development meeting in March with various individuals we think would need to be involved. So we thought we might engage localities in that work, engage community development and enforcement people in the council. All that work is underway at the moment, so we've only just started to get round that. Community safety team is already involved, of course. So yeah, that's where we're at with that. Okay, just a brief summary on the violence priority. There's a lot more underneath all of these, and I'm sure there's an awful lot more to be said about that priority. But two areas I've just picked on because they're actually published in the strategic plan. One is around reachable moments and developing the mentorship scheme in the A&E department. It is underway. Appointments have been made. I believe there's not enough volunteers, but we need to look at the data on that. And I'll be liaising with Gary and the community safety team on that. So they do provide regular updates to the Safeguarding Children Exploitation Group as well. We also committed to delivering a serious incident protocol. And what we mean by that is a protocol where if there's a serious incident like a fatal stabbing, that we get together, we develop a communications plan, and we make sure that all the key people who are involved, such as the school, the head of the school, are all coordinated and are being communicated with, and they're being supported. Jatinda Mathew has developed a protocol for schools which helps head teachers understand what's going on in such circumstances. And that's one positive thing. But we were thinking more in terms of all the partner agencies having some sort of protocol in place, which would be really helpful. But due to capacity, we haven't been able to deliver that, and we haven't been able to prioritise it either in the community safety team or in my team, I'm afraid. Yeah, so that is a brief summary of where we're at, and they're just key highlights only. As you can imagine, there's lots and lots more that we could talk about, but I just thought I'd be as succinct as brief as I possibly can. And if there's any areas in this presentation you want to talk to about at the meeting on Friday, then of course we can expand any area you want. Okay, thank you very much, and I'll see you all on Friday. Thank you.